Talk about NCIS Los Angeles. Marty Deeks. It's a show on CBS. You've all watched it. You're big fans. We've moved to Sunday night at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. How's your day going? Good. You seem well.
Good. So far, how's your day going?
I mean, I love Comic-Con. I think that this is one of the few times you get to interact with the people that have dedicated hours of their life to watching the show. And what's amazing about that is we don't really get to see it. And social media obviously has bridged that gap, but we just did the London Comic-Con, and listening to people come up and talk about, like, here's my story, here's my journey, and this is the role that your show has played in my life. It's a surreal experience because, you know, it's like a job. We don't usually see any kind of the catalyst that becomes in people's relationships, and it's kind of remarkable, and I love it. So yeah, we're fans of the madness, the circus, just to have kind of those moments.
Speaking of the fans, do you find that you have like a certain type of fan? Like my whole family loves the show. We love all the NCISs. Do you find that there's like a certain type of fan that you run into?
Yeah, so I did about 25 movies before the show, and it's a wide variety of like horror fans, like teen comedies, like dark romances, but this show specifically is one of the shows where people come up and say, I watch the show, and I watch it with my mom, and my dad, and our son, and our neighbor. It's like one of these shows that's multi-generational, which I've never been a part of before. It's usually like some frat boy and his parents are like, who is this kid? So now with this show, it's kind of remarkable that the fans are families. Like, you watch it with your family, which is such a cool thing because there's such a shortage of entertainment that does that. It's such a specific genre now. There's so many networks, and it's very seldom that you get something that people enjoy that are 20 years apart in age. So I'll take it.
Are you already started doing upcoming season?
Yeah, we're day 7 in season 8, and my coworker is pregnant, like super pregnant. I know it looks like pasta, but that's a baby. And so they've had to shoot around that. And so we've shot 8 episodes of her arc ahead of time. So I know like the first 8 episodes of that relationship. And I can say confidently that the best thing that happened to these 2 characters is that they had to figure out a way to do a storyline to shoot around that. Because there is a proposal, there is a sound guy that works on our show, and he came up afterwards and he was just like, I've been doing this for 20 years. He goes, I cried 3 times today. He goes, he was like, the relationship, he was like, what's happening with the storyline they wrote for you guys is really remarkable. So it's a really fun season to do in season 8.
Is it great for you to have a show? And with the original NCIS as well, we actually had Nielsen for our publications compile how age affects what you watch. And the NCIS and Criminal Minds franchises were across the board.
Yeah.
But you don't have dragons, and you don't have zombies, and you don't. It's just really good, solid, romantic storytelling.
Yeah.
So, is that for you as an actor? Is that particularly gratifying?
I mean, listen, I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones, and I love that show. Like when Jon Snow popped his eyes open, I was like, Jon Snow! But there is something remarkable about television in which it's just about the relationships. And the beauty of a procedural show, obviously, is that, you know, you watch Brothers and Sisters and you run out of things to go wrong in 4 seasons. On a show like ours, we can go for 14 years because it's the crime of the week, but it's really about the characters and their very slow and realistic growth as a family. And so my instinct coming into the show was, we got to get to these beats. And they were like, slow down. This show is a reflection of life as far as relationships go, and it's all about, you know, an arc over 200 episodes with no dragons and no, you know, the special effects aren't needed. It's just about those things. So yeah, it's really fun to be on a successful version of a very hard, difficult thing to write and to tell. And that's a tribute to the writers, that's a tribute to LL Cool J and Chris O'Donnell and Linda Hunt and Daniela. Like, it's a hard thing to do, and it's fun because there is no fireworks. Fireworks is the characters.
And it's appointment viewing for people for a demographic. It's appointment viewing for people who are going to come back week after week after week.
Yeah, and you said it so well, and I didn't know Nielsen had those numbers, but it is one of those things that families come back week after week to watch.
We actually had to ask them to compile pilot, but they dug in, and it was amazing.
It's an amazing anomaly to have a show that's as popular and a series and a family as popular as it is to be so 4-quadrant demographic.
So are there any mild spoilers you could give us since you know some of the story arc?
There's a sniper somewhere in this room that's literally, if I say anything wrong, they'll take me out. They had someone come up from a press junket to drop something off, and they escorted this guy with like flags around him because he couldn't even see what we were filming. It's a really big big storyline.
What's the biggest difference from movies, from you transitioning from movies to TV? What do you think's the biggest difference?
Scorsese said it the best when he was talking about Boardwalk Empire. He's like, in a movie I have maybe 2 hours. Scorsese has 3 to tell a story. I know where the character starts and I know where it ends, and I can tell that arc. And with a TV show like this, I find out what this character is going through, 2 days before I get the script. And therefore, it's a lot like life, because I can't prepare an arc to play. I literally keep going, and then they give me something else, and I go, oh, what the fuck am I going to do with this?
Right.
And you play that moment, then something else happens. So playing an arc in a TV show is a lot like us as humans reacting to the world. And that's a much more difficult thing to do, because a lot of times, just like life, we find something that's contrasting and conflicting to something we've done prior. And so you just have to find a way to evolve the character in a way that's realistic and real, that you don't lose track of who the character is, but also dealing with stuff you never thought this character would have to endure. That's the main difference. And the hours.
Yeah.
The hours, like you shoot a movie and you're done in 3 months. Ours is we start July 8th and we shoot 70 hours a week until end of May. But that's great because we have jobs. But if you look at the beginning of the season, we all look like movie stars. And at the end of the season, like a wonky eye, like Chris is stumbling. LL doesn't age. Like you look at LL, he does not age. But the rest of us, by the end of the season, we're just the shadows of ourselves, like speaking and gobbledygook. But yeah, that's one of the other differences.
I'm going to still have
All right.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for the interview, guys. Thank you. Is this mine? I'm taking it.